Good morning. It's Wednesday, May 13th, 2026, and I thought I'd give you a little walkthrough of my garden. I started working part-time about 2.5 years ago. Plus, I homeschool my kids and take care of chickens, rabbits, and sheep. So I got really busy with all that and basically lost my garden. Some of you might know my garden was pretty big and filled up, but I just couldn't keep up with it. So this year, I decided to start it back up again. We've got a good routine going here on the farm, and I just feel like I can handle it this year. So to make it a little bit easier on me, I decided to put down black plastic weed barrier just to help me not have to weed so much while I'm trying to work and take care of everything. And that's not my end goal. I do plan to replace that with cardboard and mulch eventually. But I wanted a big garden right now, like one that I can keep up with. And this is just where I'm at in life right now, and it's what I've got to have in order to have what I want for now. I do want a permaculture garden, and I'm working towards that one step at a time. So I'm going to show you what I've got so far. So this is standing at the entrance of my garden, and this is what I can see from here. And I'm going to start over here with a pomegranate. It's called a wonderful pomegranate plant that is for my 13-year-old because she loves pomegranates and she requested that. My greenhouse is very messy, just a storage room right now. I'll get to that sometime. I'm trying to start some yarrow. My yarrow I tried starting earlier in the year didn't quite turn out. I got like one, so I'm trying. It's kind of late in the season, but I'm trying anyway. Down here I just cut a hole last week to plant some Russian tarragon seeds, and they're already coming up, which is cool. In here, this water trough, I have filled with logs and branches. I'm not done. I'll put some smaller sticks in there and then fill it up with probably topsoil and compost, and then I'm going to plant my blueberries. They require, I think it's a higher pH than other stuff. Oh, look at that, a heron. Anyway, they require a different pH from the rest of the garden, and so this way I can amend that soil separately and keep those blueberries thriving. These 4 o'clocks right there and right there found a way to peek through my weed barrier, and I'm so glad they did because they're beautiful. And so I'm going to let them grow on the sides of the water trough, which is really pretty. Over here, I've got my asparagus that never did go away. That's a perennial, so it has survived, and it's got a lot of weeds in it right now. So I will be picking those hopefully soon. Earlier this spring, I just had a mound of dirt right here, and I did nothing to amend it, but I came in and sprinkled some carrots in it and scratched it in, and now I've got a big abundance of carrots. I've already picked some of them. And then back here is a fig tree that I had growing out my pasture, but there was a big hole that was forming in the ground from rain and washout, and it was like the roots were barely hanging on in that hole, and so I transplanted it in here in the garden. And then right along here, I just planted these maybe 2 weeks ago. They're bush green beans. And then let me go back to the beginning over here. It's my gate. Let's see. In this bed, I've got peppers. I've got some Marconi peppers and some jalapeno peppers. I think they're the same as a nada pino. That means they're not spicy, basically, jalapenos. I've got some rosemary that I'm not sure where I'm going to plant exactly, but I have some water troughs back there in front of my high tunnel that I think I might put them in because they may get quite big. This is my tomato bed, and my tomatoes have not done great this year, but I think my compost wasn't quite done composting, and so I think it was leaching nitrogen. for a while. So I've just amended all of this and they're doing pretty good. And then I bought some more tomato plants yesterday, so I need to plant those. I have one lettuce that survived. I did not have a good start this spring with seeds, but that's okay. I've got nasturtiums started all over the garden. I've planted them here, over here, and in some of these beds. And I got some parsley, curled parsley that I planted. These are elderberries that I'm not sure where I'm going to put them yet, but I'll figure out soon. And well, 3 out of 4 of these beds have butterfly peas growing along the trellis. And these are my tomatillos, which I'm excited about. We like green salsa, and my daughter, my 13-year-old, actually likes eating tomatillos by themselves. This bed is strawberries. I love growing strawberries, and they're doing great right here. I've also planted some borage at the end of this bed. And some dill. People seem to have a hard time growing dill, and let me just tell you, all I do is I just throw the seeds down. I might scratch it in a little bit, maybe, sometimes I don't, and then just keep it watered, keep it moist, and they just come up. They're easy. I think some people make it harder than it needs to be. Borage will actually get pretty tall and get a bunch of flowers. I think I planted blue borage, and they're just gorgeous, and the bees go crazy for them. It's always good to have pollinators in the garden. Yesterday I was so excited because I've been wanting to plant a dwarf Cavendish banana plant, and I ordered a little small start and it died like immediately. So I bought another one, and it's in my house growing well in the window. But I went to Lowe's yesterday and they have a tall one. Well, kind of tall, taller than what I have. So I snatched it really fast. It was cheaper than buying that little start online. So I'm really excited about that. It'll get about 10 to 12 feet tall, and it'll give a huge cluster of bananas next year. So I'm excited about that. And my kids love lemons, and so I bought a lemon tree yesterday and some lemongrass because I couldn't get my lemongrass to grow this year. This is a sad little loquat tree. When I was growing up, my neighbor had a loquat tree, and their granddaughter and I used to go pick them, and they were just delicious. They're like a tropical fruit, kind of like a peach, but different. They're really delicious and sweet. So I'm trying to get it started. I don't know why it keeps getting these spots. It's lost its first 2 leaves, but then it grew these 2 leaves. So I don't know exactly what to do with it. I went around my property yesterday and gathered up all these pots that I haven't had anything planted in it. And I'm going to plant my herbs in here that I don't want in the ground. For example, oregano. I've had oregano go quite crazy in the garden and just take over, and same with mints. So I've got sweet mint and peppermint, and I got some lemon thyme. I've never used that before, but it smells really good. And so I'm going to plant herbs in my pots. Now let me tell you about this. See this little hill that goes straight across here? It's a hugelkultur bed. About 2 or 3 years ago, my husband helped me dig a trench all across here. As you can see, we're on a very deep slope we're uphill here, and it goes downhill. And sometimes when it would rain, things like dirt and mulch would get washed out. So I wanted something to help kind of slow down the rain, catch the rain. So hugelkultur, you dig a trench, you put in large logs and then limbs and then smaller sticks, until it's a big hill. And then you cover it with soil. And over time, the water absorbs into the wood that's in there, and it helps keep the soil moist longer. So it's good for watering plants. And this is my first time to plant in it. And the first 3 are, let me try to remember. The first 3 are butternut squash. The other 3 are patty pan summer squash. And the 4 at the end are cantaloupe, or what we call cantaloupe, muskmelon or something. And they're doing great. They literally sprouted in like 2 days after I planted them. And the soil is actually surprisingly staying extremely moist. I would like to put some mulch on top of it to keep my plants cool. But of course, eventually I'm also going to cover it with cardboard and mulch. Now over here, you can see this bucket with a bucket on top. That is an idea that I got from Morag, I don't know how to say her name, Gamble, from YouTube. She, I think, lives in New Zealand, and she is my favorite permaculture gardener. And this is something that I found on one of her videos. Is she has a barrel with an open bottom, and she composts in this. She puts her scrap garden materials and whatever brown materials she has laying around, and then she puts like a bucket or a lid on top, and you keep it moist and you mix it up every so often, and the like critters, microbes, whatever from the soil down below helps to compost it, and it improves the soil in your garden down below as well. So anyway, I've done that before and I'm trying it out again. Right here, I've got 3 peach trees. That one's obviously older, and I think I'm kind of using this hugelkultur bed almost kind of like a swale, which they use a lot in permaculture. It's not really in permaculture. This swale would be more curved towards the land, but it does help catch a lot of water and slow it down. And then I put the fruit trees on the lower end of the swale because they'll get more water, I guess. So I'm hoping this works. So far they're doing fantastic and they've stayed very moist. That peach tree is a few years old and it's not pruned exactly how I want it to be. I don't know how we got it that way, but it's basically kind of creating an umbrella at the base. Whereas these 2, as you can see, they're supposed to be a tall trunk and then umbrella at the top. So we'll see how they go. I'm really excited to get peaches. Around the peach trees, I have planted comfrey, and ants got a couple of my comfrey plants, but as you can see, there's some more. And I have one yarrow flower that survived. And then I put a bunch of nasturtiums right there too. So those are my peach trees. And then down below that, I recently put in, using cardboard and compost, this long bed and cattle panel for a trellis. So all along here are cucumbers. I love cucumbers from the garden. So I planted a lot. I've got nasturtiums all throughout there. And then at the end there, I planted eggplant seedlings, and they are not doing well. I think, just like the tomatoes, the compost was robbing nitrogen from the soil. See, they're just little tiny seedlings. So now that I have it amended, if anybody has any eggplant starts they want to sell me, let me know. I would love to get bigger ones put in. I haven't found any in the stores recently. This little patch is kind of new, and I planted okra. My favorite okra to plant is emerald okra. You can get it, at any big box store that sells seeds. They get like 10 feet tall. They get huge, maybe even taller than that, maybe 12 feet. They're gigantic. I have to pull them down sideways at the end of the season to harvest. But I love them. They're really good. And then this is my little pollinator pond that was half this size, and I just extended it this past weekend. Now it's probably, 8 feet long or something. But I got some plants to put around it, some flowers for pollinators, and I have some ground cover started, but let me show you. This entrance part of the pond is more shallow with rocks so that pollinators, like our honeybees that we raise, can come stand on the dry rocks and reach down and get a drink. And I've got some pond plants started. That is, I think, a water hyacinth, and it'll be a purple bloom. And then I've got these little frog bit little clumps of tiny leaves that should spread. And then I would like to get some fish. I read that goldfish will probably eat my plants, so I think goldfish are out. So there is some other kind of fish that I can't remember what it's called, but they're kind of expensive and hard to find. So the other option is possibly minnows or mosquito fish. So I don't know just yet. Anyway, once the plants take off and I get fish, it should help keep the algae under control. And by the way, this is blue salvia, and the bees love it. This is probably the first time I've come out here and not seen bees on it when it's sunny outside. It almost always has one bee on it. Maybe it's just because it's morning time right now. And then I just brought this old little table and chairs out here yesterday so that I can sit out here and enjoy the birds in my garden. My girls and my husband just got me this bird bath for Mother's Day. I'd wanted one, and I love it because it is plastic, which is really cool. Like, it would be really easy to clean if it gets algae on it. And I have half a mosquito dunk in there to keep the mosquitoes out. But I think that's pretty cool. And so since they got me that, I moved this little bench over here and put some flowers on it. And we were at a family member's house this weekend, and he had a bird feeder hooked up with pulleys between trees like that. And I observed it and learned how to do it, and I set it up yesterday, and the birds are already all over it. So I'm really excited about that. This is one of my compost piles, and this one I purchased because when I got started this spring I had none. This is my other compost pile that I've created, and it should be done pretty soon, just not on the outside. I need to turn it again. This is mostly rabbit litter and hay and the compressed pine pellets that I put over their droppings in the barn to keep it fresh in the barn. So it's got plenty of brown material, and the hay is leftover hay from my sheep, and I've never had a problem composting that. Anyway, this makes fantastic compost. Really, really good. And I keep it piled up like this, and I turn it with my tractor bucket, and it works really good. It's very easy. And I guess the last thing, I need to clean all this up. It's a mess. But over here, I'm going to turn into another fruit tree guild. And this is my new little pear tree. It's a kefir pear. And I'm going to, once it's bigger, maybe put cardboard and compost down all around it and grow white clover all around this area and plant strawberries around it. And then I'm also, I've got starts inside my house that I'm trying to propagate for what's called a gumi plant. It's like a little shrub that grows little berries that kind of look like cherries, and they're supposed to improve the soil around your fruit trees or your garden, wherever you put it, and add nitrogen back into the soil. So I'll probably put some gumi plants around here and somewhere in my garden. And I have some grapes, wild grapes, growing wild right there above the pasture gate. and they actually have grapes on them. I'm really excited. So I'm kind of thinking I might even next year plant some grapes going all across this fence and make the fence look nicer, and actually get some food from that. That would be really cool. So that's my garden 2026. I have nothing growing in the high tunnel right now because my plastic at the end over there got ripped this winter and it just got worn out. It's probably 4 years old, so it's about time for it to wear out. And I've just really struggled in there because the ground, we have like pure sand soil, and the ground gets these gullies forming, like big holes from rain washing it out. And I had smoothed all the soil in there, and I put black plastic, and I had drip tubing, and I had tons of tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers and things like that in there. And it formed holes. I'd walk out there on the plastic and all of a sudden my foot would fall through, and it was kind of scary. So I really need to take all that up, redo the ground, maybe do some swales on this side of the high tunnel to catch all that water that comes through, and put a new plastic over the top of it. But it's getting really hot. It's supposed to be 92 today, so I'm not doing that today or this summer. I think it's gonna have to wait till winter. But anyway, there's my garden. I'm really happy about it. I love to just sit out here and enjoy my pond. Did you see the fountain I put in the pond? I need to get it, put some bricks under it so it'll stay in the center. It kind of moves around with the wind, but I could just sit out here all day listening to that sound. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little garden tour. Bye.